Welcome to the Dynasty DNA Deep Dive on the Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network, where we talk players, teams, everything Dynasty Fantasy Football, and everything NFL. So listen in with us and let's talk some Dynasty Fantasy Football. And here's your host, TJ Blake.
Welcome back, DNA Strand crew, to the newest episode of the Dynasty DNA Deep Dive here on the Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network. I'm your host, as always, TJ Blake. You can follow me over on X at FFTJBlakeDNA. And, of course, for this show, we have to bring up the guy, the one and only Big Culture Bob Helfert. You can follow him over on X at Big E Fat Bob. Bob, Dynasty DNA team meetings. You know, we talked to Slim. It looks like you and him may have something going on the side here a little bit during the season. Exciting stuff here coming up for the season for Dynasty DNA content. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I mean, I can only get so much TJ. I had to get me a side piece with some Slim action. So, yeah, that was I felt bad because we were talking, and it seemed like we were talking around him. I'm like, man, Slim's got to be available for me to be able to talk to him. And I was like, oh, that'll be fun. And then you came up with the topic of I can't remember what we even called it, the Monday mockery or something like that. Like, you know, we're basically going to poke fun at our other friends' picks, and we'll probably smash each other quite a bit too because we just butt heads.
Right. Not a lot of agreement there sometimes, right? That's the beauty of it, Bob and Slim, and that's an old classic debate waiting to happen. A lot of new stuff coming to the Dynasty DNA Network, guys, for the season, whether it's live content, news shows. Keep your ear to the ground when it comes to that. But, of course, we're joined also by Little Culture, Logan Helfert. You can follow him over on X at Logan123003. Logan, are you ready for your first full season here at Dynasty DNA? A lot going on. You ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready. I've been enjoying what we've been doing so far this offseason. I'm ready to keep rocking and rolling through the season. Just don't be upset when I go on rants like my father does but mostly it will be about the Bengals and how shit we're doing. So,
well, and injuries too with the Bengals. That's all. You always got to start with injuries when we talk Cincinnati, right? That's for sure. But
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. There's no doubt about it. But you know, today, guys, we got a great one lined up here for you. Preseason is on the eve, kickoff. We're getting close, right? So I figured, hey, why not do a Dynasty preseason lies versus truths, right? We're going to have some philosophical questions that we're going to ask these guys about Dynasty when it comes to preseason, whether that be a lie or a truth. And we're also going to be doing a player worry meter, right? Because, look, there is a lot of news coming out of camp, out of preseason that is kind of troubling for some, maybe a little less troubling for others. So we got to get our feels on some of these players before the preseason kicks off, but let's just get into it right now. It's going to be preseason lies versus truths. We're going to start with here, Bob. And I just want to get your thoughts on this. If a rookie is dominating in training camp, his dynasty value should immediately go up.
I don't think it should immediately go up, but almost always does go up. You know, values end up going up, and I don't know that they should. Now, I mean, like if it's a highly thought of prospect and they set the world on fire, then yeah, I mean, marginal upgrades, but 9 chances out of 10, it's a highly thought of guy. They're going to be highly, valued anyway.
Okay, Logan, same thing. Interesting, Bob. If a rookie's dominating training camp, his dynasty value should go up immediately. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, do you want to pump the brakes? Are you one of them people that really fall into these highlight videos in training camp, reports from beat writers? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I'm definitely going to take a look at the clip and stuff like that. I think Bob made a good point about who they're playing against, right? Like, don't take too much hype into a guy who's absolutely destroying the corner 8 on their team. But if they're playing like first-team defense and it's a good defense in this league, obviously keep your eye out, keep your ear there. But if it's some cornerback 8 that this wide receiver is putting up numbers against, I wouldn't put too much stock into it.
Right, and that's a great point, Logan. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, you look at the Hall of Fame game, right? Like, that was the prime example of that, right? Like, I mean, look, we're happy to see any player at least look good and productive and, taking advantage of the reps they have, game reps. But you got to remember, I mean, when you're going up against the bottom of the barrel, right, that's where you're at. I mean, it is what it is. We see all these training camp preseason type heroes. So we're going to spin into the next question here coming out of the preseason. If a player that is a nobody that comes out of nowhere, Logan, is doing extremely well in preseason, are you more inclined to try to sell that player as quickly as you can, or are you going to try to hold on and just ride out the mystery of it?
I'm going to be a hold on the taxi squad. Like, I'm gonna keep him there. If I can see him making production during the season, if I'm heavy at that position, I'll look at trading him away. But if I'm not, I might as well keep the guy and let him ride and hope he does something, especially as a backup or a handcuff if necessary.
Okay, Bob, what do you think about that, right? These nobodies that come out of nowhere in preseason, say, you get the big splashy type play guys. Are you more inclined to sell those guys as quickly as possible? Or are you going to hold on and just ride it out?
Well, I like to think that if I have them on my rosters already, they're a somebody, not just a nobody. But if they're legitimately a nobody, then I'll just sweep them along off my rosters onto somebody else's. If they're on my team, generally I have some kind of feeling that they have an ability to jump onto a team or whatever. I pay enough attention, I think, to see what, the pedigree that came along with them to begin with, right? Like we trying to think of who we talked about the other. Well, Chris Bell, for instance. Like, if people just looked at Chris Bell like, oh, why did the Dolphins draft a injured wide receiver or whatever? Then that's different than Caleb Douglas, I guess. That I didn't really know anything about Caleb Douglas, and who knows there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm more inclined to sell because, like, you get some of these guys, and draft capital is everything, even for contenders, right? Like, I mean, we got to remember, we talked about this earlier with the Hall of Fame game. Very rarely are you going to see any more in today's NFL. A lot of these starters are going to be out there on the field, right? I mean, it just isn't going to happen. You're going to see a lot more second, third stringy type guys. I'm not saying you might not see a starting defense for a quarter, right? I mean, that's definitely possible, but I look at these guys like they're just great sell assets at that point because, I mean, we try to get draft capital whether we're rebuilders or contenders because, look, if you're a rebuilder, it's a draft pick you could throw another dart on. If you are a contender, it's a tool in your tool chest that you can use as trying to acquire other players that actually we do believe in, right? So I try to ship those players off. I'm never going to get into the overly hyped training camp preseason type deal. And I always try to take advantage if people want to try to, get in on these players and think that they have something, right? Like, very rarely do you get the Victor Cruz anymore, Bob, right? I mean, like, Victor Cruz was that guy in the preseason that kind of lit it up way back in the day. I'm sure you remember. And then he followed through on that, and he was a solid player for a while. But, you don't see them type of guys very often come through and really turn into anything immaculate.
But there's tons of Kerryon Johnsons and Amir Abdullahs and that type of guys.
Oh, 100%. And if you could have got a third-round pick for them type of guys, right, you take advantage of it, a 2027 third, anything of that nature. If someone wants to get a guy that's more of like a roster clogger type, yeah, I agree with that. So, all right, Bob, a preseason quarterback battle could completely change the dynasty value of the team's skill players. What's your thoughts on that?
So, yes, it can change the value of the players that are affected. It shouldn't affect it drastically because 9 chances out of 10, if there's a QB battle, then maybe the QB room's not settled for the next season or whatever. So 2020, well, the following season, that it's going to affect that coming season's value more than it will total future value. Just the 2 instances of QB battles that we know of right now, I think that you can say Minnesota's prospects have gone up, and I think that Atlanta's prospects have probably stayed the same. It may be a little bit better with Tua, but I'm not counting on it. If a guy comes in and looks the part and does the part and the coach picks him, then it should have some bearing on the players that he's throwing the ball to. Now, I don't want to say that Justin Jefferson or whatever is going to lose value if no matter who the quarterback is for this year. You know what I mean? It definitely hurts him this year, but I'm still willing to part with, a price that I think is Jefferson value or whatever for the player, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know you're big on these quarterback battles, Bob, and these quarterback situations, so I knew that was a good one to pick your brain on, right? And you're absolutely right. I agree with you on that, but Logan, I mean, you any difference in opinion? A preseason quarterback battle could completely change the dynasty value of the team's skill players?
I am with Bob. It shouldn't be a drastic change because, as he was saying, the battle shouldn't affect more than 2 years. It kind of depends on the team, the system, and who the quarterbacks are. I think this Minnesota team will be drastically better with Kyler taking the reins compared to JJ. So expect their value to be a little bit higher than they were last year. But I don't know about Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be a dumpster fire.
Oh, that's one of Big Culture Bob's favorite owners, Arthur Blank. Surely not. But no, I agree with you guys. Look, I mean, I'm on the same page. You got to keep an eye on this, though, because things can change quickly, right? Like, I mean, I don't care. If you're Minnesota right now, I mean, I know J.J. McCarthy was a first-round pick, right? We're going to still wait that out. Maybe the best thing for him is to sit, right? And we'll see. Can Kyler resuscitate anything in his career and give us any kind of, hope in this offense to make it go up? And right now, the stock is going up, right? So we'll see.
It's going to marginally affect it anyway, just because of age, right? Regardless of how much Justin Jefferson is a stud, he's going to be a year older.
Right.
You know what I mean? If it was J.J. McCarthy and he had a bum year, then of course his dynasty value is going to go down a little bit. Like, start thinking about what it's going to look like without Matt Stafford. I mean, is Devontae Adams going to have much value after this year? Well, of course not, because he's not only is he in his 30s or whatever, but his quarterback's old too. So, but that's different scenarios. But yeah, I mean, of course, Stafford's not in a QB battle, but I just picking an old receiver or whatever was kind of the target there.
Let's go into the player worry meter segment here, guys, right? We know a lot of things going on in camp, a lot of things going on with injuries and different situations. So let's start here right now. Big Culture Bob, player worry meter on Brock Purdy for Dynasty Leagues right now with all the San Francisco substation things going on. Give me a scale of 1 to 10. 1, not very worried at all. 10, extremely worried on Brock Purdy right now.
Well, I think I'm gonna lay the egg here and just go 5, because I think that there's obvious reasons to be concerned, because like his targets seem to all be kind of falling apart. But I've also seen Brock Purdy kind of do it without those targets. You know what I mean? So I think if there's warm bodies out there, then he can kind of be successful. Now, obviously, if Evans is hurt, Pearsall's on the IL, if something were to ever happen to Christian McCaffrey, I mean, you can't necessarily – I mean, he's going to scramble more, but he's not necessarily, a hyper athlete that you want to be scrambling all the time. However, he just manages to do a pretty decent job, with kind of mediocre talent. I mean, they still got Deshaun Stribling, and I don't remember if he's hurt, but I mean, it's probably everybody. The substation gets everybody out there.
Well,
as far as dynasty value goes, he's signed the contract. He's with a great head coach. I mean, eventually they'll figure out weapons.
Well, and it's a system, right? I mean, it is that system, the Kyle Shanahan system. For whatever reason, like you said, they always can make it work. But let me just say, Bob, I mean, right now, we could see some of these guys get healthy and things can get back on track. But let's assume, that they're going to be banged up like this for the majority of the year. Are you confident that Purdy could be like that 12 to 16 finish? I mean, in there somewhere?
No, you got to adjust accordingly. I would prefer him be my QB3 at that point. Let's just down tier to the next rung or whatever, because I think that the system or whatever is good enough. I mean, they could end up running freaking Tonjes and Kittle out there, on one bad leg and still have a pretty effective offense. It's just Shanahan. But I would say in the 15 to 20 range, you know what I mean? Like if they don't, have some string of health come along, or pick up a free agent or whatever, somewhere along the lines. I mean, outside of Deebo Samuel, which kind of cracks me up, but they, bring him home, bring old Deebo home.
Yeah, for sure. So Bob's going to go with the 5. And, that's reasonable, but look, the team still coached well enough. I'll give my answer next. We'll let Logan go. All right, Logan, Brock Purdy, scale 1 to 10. What's your thoughts on the worry meter here with all these injuries going on in San Francisco?
I'm going to say it's like a 4. I think it's not too bad because he knows how to spread the ball. I actually put up last year's target share from the season, and his number one target was Juwan Jennings. His number one target was Christian McCaffrey, but wide receiver wise, it was Juwan Jennings. So he's able to get the ball to these guys who's not household names, I would say. The guys who aren't, the Ayuks, the Debos, the Kittles. He knows how to spread the ball a little bit more than some of these other guys. He's still going to be good as long as McCaffrey's out there taking 150 targets with Juwan coming in at 105. So,
good point. Good point. And the fact too, like you look at the stats last year. Now they were friendly matchups. I mean, you can't get away from that. But towards the latter part of the season when he come back and he was rocking and rolling, quarterback 4, quarterback 1, quarterback 1, and we're talking like fantasy playoffs. He was doing this. So. Yeah. I'm going to go with you guys. I'm going to say a 4. But look, I think that you do have to watch it because I don't think Bob's wrong, right? Like, this division is tough, and the Rams just got way better. So, like, if these guys don't get healthy, you could fully expect 15 to 20, right? And it would be a blow if you counted on him being that high-end quarterback, too, for your dynasty rosters. But he will get back there again. It's just they got to do something with these injuries. Hopefully they can get everyone back healthy. But I'm not overly panicking right now either, and I think that was a good one to start with. Logan, let's go over to the next player here on today's list. Bucky Irving of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? All reports coming out that Kenneth Gainwell is really being preferred as the receiving back in camp. I mean, look, we knew they signed him for a reason, but you look at Bucky's not-so-clean slate of health, his size, the fact that they did sign Gainwell to this 2-year deal. He's still going pretty high ADP in startup drafts. I mean, what's your worry level on Bucky Irving right now, scale 1 to 10?
I mean, if he's going to be, okay, let's just say it's probably close to the 7 to 8 range. But if Gainwell's taking the receiving targets, I'm not too 100% worried because I'm looking at shares last year. Bucky had 35 targets. So they're not targeting the running back, at least not Bucky, as much as they could be. So I'm not super worried, but he needs to increase his production on the ground game for me to be happy about having him on rosters, for sure. Stay healthy, get the ball going. That's all he can really do.
I think stay healthy is definitely the biggest part of that, right? But 7-8, I definitely think that I could see where you're coming from there, Logan. Okay, Bob, let's talk Bucky Irving. Let's talk this Tampa Bay Buccaneers backfield. Kenneth Gainwell, did get that 2-year contract. I mean, they're using him a lot in these little receiving type options as far as dumping it off to the running back. What's your thoughts? Worry level on Bucky Irving, 1 to 10. Where are you at right now?
Let's go with like 7. I just think that you don't bring Gainwell in unless you got a plan for the guy, and at least for 2 years or what have you. And of course, Gainwell is a much more I don't know if I want to say much more, but he's definitely a prominent pass catching back, and that, the value of a target is worth more than the value of a run. Now, I just seen that Robinson or whatever, the offensive coordinator, was talking about how, Bucky's feet are always in the ground so he can change direction. He's kind of excited about having Bucky Irving. Well, that's great, except for the fact that he's had a hard time staying healthy. He's a very small guy, and like, if you want that guy to be your first and second down grinder, man, that's a little suspect to me. I mean, I think that Bucky would be better to be a complimentary speed back type instead of I'm going to try and pound through the offensive line. Tampa Bay's got a pretty good offensive line, but they've also got a pissed off quarterback and a pissed off defensive tackle that who knows if they're going to be any good because, if the defense flounders, they're going to be in shootouts. And Baker's going to do everything he can to just throw the ball over the yard, which I think leans to Gainwell. So who knows? And it's an RBBC, a running back by committee. It's one of them that I'll stay away from. Gainwell's great for a cheap price, but I'm not necessarily a Bucky dude, so I'll just say 7.
Well, let me just say, Bob. Okay, I want to ask you this question, and I know, like I said, with the running back deal, how you are. But, look, there are certain players at every position that flash more red as far as sells go, right, when we're looking at them. Is this guy really flashing red to you right now, like as far as, like, hey, before the season starts, I got to try to really move him?
Yeah, he would be somebody that I'd have shipped out twice on Sunday, you know what I mean, last week and last season. I mean, I know there was just a ton of people that are hyped about it. And, I mean, like, great. But, like, not many guys that gentleman's size are long for the league. And running backs don't have long shelf lives anyway. So, like, you want to double the risk. I just assume have traded for a bigger-bodied back and, a second or something. You know what I mean? You could have last year in the heart of all this, you could have got Rico Dowdle and probably a second while Bucky Irving was on the injured list, and you'd have been running to the bank. Even in this dreadful 26 class, you probably could have got something better of value than Bucky Irving.
I think that's a good point, Bob, and I think that would have been a good trade for contenders last year, right? Do you really want to win your league? Right, that could have opened up a door potentially for you to do it, no doubt about it. But okay, Logan, I got to ask you the same thing before we move on. Is this like a player that's flashing red as far as a trade option goes in Bucky Irving? Like, I mean, sometimes you got to move these guys before it's too late, right? And the value drops out. Is this a red flashing sell type of a guy?
I mean, I would sell him if I have him. And I think I do in a spot, and I'm more than willing to get rid of him if anyone wants him. But these guys, it's flashing here and there, like not only in red, but sometimes you're like, man, I should keep this guy. But then with Bucky, I feel like it's easily a 70, like 80 to 70 sell to a 20 to 25 or 20 to 30 keep. His production when you have him just isn't there compared to like getting a sell out of him at a decent price.
Agreed. And, we talk about it all the time. Don't get caught with your pants down on the value, right? You could easily do that with a player like Bucky Irving, and the size and the injuries are the biggest thing. Look, I'm in a solid 8. I mean, you guys know I've never really loved this player. He hasn't been the cup of tea in my, tea cozy. But let me just say right now, I got all kinds of good sayings going for you, Bob. But I got
it's an Earl Grey tea. It's an Earl Grey tea, not really.
That's right.
Tea.
That's right. He ate in my tea party. That's for sure. Let's go over now to the next one here, Bob. I'm going to start here with you. We're going to go with Luther Burden III, exiting with a groin injury. Look, anyone that knows groins, hamstrings, them type of injuries can linger. Chicago Bears, right? Which way are they going to go with the ball? A lot of people really buying the hype and the hopefulness on Luther Burden. Give me the worry meter, Bob, 1 to 10 on Luther Burden.
So I'm going to give 2 answers here. The Bob meter is at 1 because I ain't got no Luther Burden. Like I didn't believe it, and I'm sorry for those of you that do. And you guys should be at like a 10. because in all honesty, the guy had a little bit of string of injuries in college, right? So there's that, on top of the fact that he was, he was contending to be either the second or third target behind Colson Loveland, Mike's crush, so I don't know. I just don't believe that this is going to help this dude out. He needed this preseason to solidify himself as the top wide receiver in the room, and he's losing it. And who knows? Yes, this is Ben Johnson's draft pick, but availability is you know how it goes. I forget how it goes. I always stumble over it. I can't get my say. TJ with the T's knows all about how to say availability is the best ability. That's it. I finally got it. So yeah, I don't have any burden, so I'm not worried about it at all. But for the guys that do, it makes my Loveland shares that I have look awesome, because I just think there's not going to be any burden on Loveland.
All right, so Bob isn't going to have any beasts of burden on his rosters. He don't have to worry about it, but very concerned at 10, right? And you know this team well, Bob, and I know you like to give them a hard time from time to time, but I also know that you're genuinely a little bit more, friendly now to the Bears, right? I'm not saying you're going to sit there and support them, but you have said that they're starting to do things in a little bit better direction. So, you're concerned about Luther Burden, and I definitely can agree with that. All right, Logan, Bob's at a 10 here on Luther Burden. Worry meter coming out with this groin injury. Where's your worry meter on Luther Burden right now?
It's about a 6 or a 7, I would say. The biggest thing is his target share last year was only 79 targets. That's behind Rome, Loveland, and DJ Moore. They got rid of DJ Moore, so he's bound to get more targets if he's on the field. And that's why my worry meter is more at a 6 or a 7. Because if he can't stay on the field and he's having a groin injury in practice, it's going to cause that production to be a little bit slimmer. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if you guys have anything else really more than just he's a full-on 10, but...
No, I mean, look, I'm at an 8, right? I'm not far off, right? It ain't like I'm miles and miles apart from you guys. And I know that these injuries, these soft tissue type injuries, you got groins, you got hamstrings, all this stuff, it could just linger into the season. And you look at it, right? Like, I don't know. What's the old saying, Bob, right? Fool you once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There's so many people that bought into the Roma Dunze stuff, right? Like, and it just didn't happen. Right, and I get it. They're two different players, but you're asking like a team that has historically liked to run the ball, a guy in Ben Johnson that likes to run the ball, Colston Loveland, who we know and seen. I mean, this is a very good connection with Caleb Williams. And how much is there on the plate? Like, the Bears are not a team that's going to throw the ball 50 times. I agree with that with Bob. I just think that this guy is an ultimate sell. Like, if someone was still give me a random 27 first for Luther Burden, done, sold. Let's go ahead and bring that 27 first into my team, or get into another receiver that I like and trust more, right? Like, into a potential trade. Bob, anything you want to add before we move on?
Well, what I was going to say is, if you drafted this guy last year or whatever in your rookie draft, he was rookie last year, right? So rookie draft last year or whatever, and you spent, whatever, 112, whatever your draft pick is that you got Luther Burden. I think he kind of fell in the second round. So, like, if you got him for that, you don't got to worry about it too much. But if you did a startup this year and that dude was going as like wide receiver 2 in some drafts, like, I'm like, dude, people were heavily invested in startups on this guy. And that's where I would be like, oh crap, my team just hit the bench because that dude is going to miss time. So that's where I think you need to worry more, is if you drafted him and you're counting on him to be wide receiver, 2 or 3 or whatever on your team, then you got some sweat. If you had him and he's part of a committee on your team, then yeah, it's just a hold.
Okay, yeah, I can agree. Like I said, man, it's definitely a concern. I think that, like I said, if I could get that random 27 first or a different player that I like, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to move off that. So let's go ahead and go into the next one here, starting with you, Logan. Josh Jacobs, right? Like, isn't it enough that we had all the bad offseason juju and news when it comes to Josh Jacobs? Now he's dealing with a groin injury, right? I mean, if you have him on contending rosters, what's your worry level right now, right? Between the off-field stuff, between this injury, where are you out on Josh Jacobs?
So. That's where I'm at. I have him on a roster that I think is a very solid contending piece, and he is my running back 2. I mean, he's kind of a 3 because I have him and Bucky Irving on with Chase Brown leading the backfield. So I'm trying to get off of him quite a lot. But he's worrisome, injury history, his age, but all of it together makes it a 10 for me.
Yeah, I mean, the off-the-field stuff, I mean, I'll kick this off, right? And the fact, too, that, like, I don't know. Like, it's always so touchdown dependent, it seems like now, for Josh Jacobs. And then you come in with this injury, Bob. I mean, look, if you had a contending roster with him in the backfield, what's your worry level right now, Bob, with Josh Jacobs?
So the places I have Jacobs or whatever, I mean, I was probably just as much concerned with the age and the off-field stuff. I don't know if this domestic case or whatever, maybe he got kicked in the groin, and that's probably part of the pain or what have you. But this dude's a pro. I think that he knows how to heal, to rest up or whatever. So I'm going to go with I'm just going to say a 4. I think that the guy more than likely knows how to take care of his body at this point. I mean, unless it's a terrible, a significant groin injury, then, I mean, and I haven't heard whether or not it's, like grade 2, obviously if it's one of those, then we might have a bigger issue if it's tearing away from the bone or something like that. But, at this point, I think that I'll just stick with, I'll hold out and hope that, running backs are harder to come by. I'm not as, apt to sell guys, I think, that are of the age that are going to help me out.
Let me just say, though, right, like it is a concern, like the groin injury, like we talked about, like they can linger, right? Like, and I'm not going to sit here and bet the whole season like, oh, it's definitely going to be an injury-plagued season for him. But to start out like this after the news, the off-the-field stuff, it just isn't great, right? And I think that I'd have to go with a 6. I mean, I am a little bit concerned on contending rosters. I think that there's definitely a pathway for him to overcome this, and I'm not just going to just absolutely jettison him for peanuts, right? I'm just going to hold and see what happens. But, like, going into the season, this cannot give you a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. It just can't. We'll see where it goes. But okay, Bob, here we go. We're going to go to your home state of Indiana, and we're going to go with Alec Pierce, right? The guy that we were talking about selling during the offseason on the PUP list after he got that grand contract from the Indianapolis Colts. What's your worry level on Alec Pierce, the wide receiver 1 there in Indianapolis, Bob?
This is very similar to Burden. I don't think I have any Pierce, so I don't have to worry about Pierce. But if I was a Pierce owner, I think it would be pretty high. I'd have to say in the 8 range, if not higher. The proverbial 8.5, I guess, somewhere in that range. I just think that this guy needed the opportunity to show he was worth the contract. The Colts believe that he can get more targets and be a bigger piece of this offense. Well, you're not showing it, and you haven't got you're missing opportunities to show it. And if this lingers into the season, then Alec Pierce is fat and happy just sitting there making that money, but the Colts are the proverbial bomb crater.
That's for sure. But, Bob, no Pierce, no Burden. I can't believe it. It's almost like you don't like boom bust players on your roster, right?
Amazing.
I would say, right? All right, so I liked a lot of what you had to say. Logan, let's scurry down to Indiana, your home state as well. Alec Pierce, the wide receiver 1 there with the Colts on the PUP list, right, already after signing that big contract. Worry level if you had him rostered right now.
I think it's a 9. PUP list isn't great, but I also think his production, he was a product of corresponding talent.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Because Warren, Pittman, and Downs all outproduced him last year in targets. He missed 2 games. And, yeah, he had 1,000 yards, but he had 1,000 yards on 48 receptions, which, don't get me wrong, that's nuts. But if you don't have those other guys to take targets and coverage, you're not going to be where you were at. So on 86 targets, which is kind of low, but missing 2 games doesn't help last year, and then he's just, again, product of availability of other players.
I like the way you put that, Logan, right? I'm at a 10 plus, right? Because you guys know how I feel about Alec Pierce. Like, this was the biggest joke of a contract I've ever seen. Like, I cannot believe it. And you know, you look at it, you're right. Like, these other players that are opening up space for him downfield is what made him super effective. Like, I have never seen the completely well-rounded version of Alec Pierce. It's the deep ball, it's the go ball, it's the moonshot, or nothing, right? That's usually what you're going to get out of Alec Pierce. And, you know, the fact that he's hurt, and you mentioned it, Logan, hurt last year a couple games. He's hurt again, right? And it just isn't good. And I'm telling you, this further solidifies my worry about this Colts team. And I'm telling you right now, if I could get anything for Alec Pierce, like if someone still wanted to give me a second, oh my gosh, take it. Because, look, if it's bad, if it goes very bad again this year, they're going to try to look to upgrade that room, right? I mean, they just are. Like, you're not telling me that they're looking at that room and thinking about upgrading it. Like, it isn't enough what they have now, and he's by far the most overpaid wide receiver in the league. I just can't believe that they went to this level and they believe this much in this player. I mean, look, there's a long shot that he could prove us wrong, but I doubt it, right? Like, the boom bust guys, I don't want them on my roster either. So I like what Bob's doing over there with his teams. I'm on the same level. But, all right, let's go over to this player here, Logan, to share a close your ears. Bashaw Tutin with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know, reports are coming out, and like I said, they're just reports, but I want to feel you guys out. You know, he's getting a lot of first, second down looks. We see LaQuint Allen coming in on third downs, and Bob's guy, Chris Rodriguez, getting the goal line work, right? So you kind of look at this, you know, running back by committee. Could it be headed this way a little bit? You know, if you get the first and second down work, that's great. But if you don't get maybe those pass-catching opportunities on third down, if you don't get those goal line plunges, that could really hurt a guy's fantasy numbers. What's your worry level on Bashaw Tutin, this ultimate gamble going into the season, Logan?
If you have a heavy running back room, I would be interested. Like, if he's not going to be your 1, 2, or 3, I would be interested in taking him. But my worry level is more like a 6 to a 7 again, just because we haven't seen much from him on-field production-wise. Like, if he had more than, 94 rushing attempts last year, I would be more happy about it, along with an additional 50 targets compared to his 15 he had. He's not had NFL football under his belt, at least enough for me to be comfortable saying he's going to be a running back 1.
Good point. I mean, look, we got a raw player here, right? Like, it just is. Like, he could be a little bit raw. Not saying that the talent and the ceiling couldn't be there, right? But, you know, I love the film on this guy, Bob, but right now, you know, we're seeing some different guys getting some different looks in training camp. Worry level on Bashaw Tutin as we sit here today.
It's almost like somebody told you to go buy Chris Rodriguez because he was real cheap and he would probably be a good – I don't know. And then that dude took flack for it from somebody, not to name any names. But legitimately, I'm at a 5. I think that this – again, I believed it was going to be a committee to begin with. I didn't see Tutin being a 3-down back. He's not going to, you know, take the load. I think he's more of a lightning than a thunder. I just think that he's a home run type talent, and the guy's got talent. There's no doubt about it. We have to get out of the thought process on whoever the starting running back is going to get 70% of the carries, blah, blah. It just doesn't really happen it doesn't happen anymore very often because, sure, if you've got Kyron Williams and that's who you want to run, you want to run that ball into the ground. If you've got, Derrick Henry and Johnny Taylor and, Bijan and Gibbs, the usual suspects, right? And I mean, even Jacobs, if he's healthy, he's going to get a bulk of the carries because who else do they really have in Green Bay? But Cohen wants to have a big running back room. Go figure, right? They get hurt. They get banged up. You need backups. It's a 5 for me because I wasn't expecting him to carry the load anyway.
Yeah, I know. You said it all along, right? So what number did you give it on the worry meter, Bob?
Yeah, it's just 5. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I don't think the guy, he's not going to lose snaps. He's probably in line for what he was going to get to begin with. If you were counting on him to be something spectacular, then you should be really worried. But if you listen to me the whole time and you just kind of were like, hey, look, kind of like what Logan said, he doesn't have NFL pedigree yet. Did he look like lightning or whatever on the tape? And what college did he go to again, TJ?
Virginia Tech.
Oh, that's a big school. That's one of those ones where we get all of our running back talent from. So, yeah, maybe we should have thought more of Bayshell Tootin then. So, legitimately, I'm not trying to throw shade at the guy, but just you got to temper expectations a little bit more.
Right. And look, I mean, I'm going to put this right about where you're at, Bob, a 5, because, again, I did not gamble my whole dynasty rosters on it. Like you said, did I add them in depth situations? Yeah, I mean, definitely. Maybe, a team or two, I even got as crazy enough to make him my running back too. Oh, that's about the extent of it. But, I mean, look, there's still a ceiling here. We'll see how he does. And, this could be a situation, with, as you said, Liam Cohen. Okay, let's see what he's got. We don't want to bet all of our chips on him right now. Let's try to spread this out a little bit. But if he hits a couple of those big plays, right, and
sure,
he's asserting himself between the tackles, then he's probably going to keep rising up. And then that's when you get real excited. So I agree with you, Bob. And that's just a good way to approach it, right? That's keeping a level mind on players, right? Don't go into the stratosphere on different guys sometimes, right? I know what you're saying. But okay. Got one more to bring up here, and it's going to be Malik Neighbors, Bob, a good friend of yours, right? I know that you love the player, hate the situation. It's one of the classic scenarios of don't hate the player, hate the game. He's dealing with this knee issue, Bob. Look, I know that we didn't hear a lot of great things this offseason as far as a timetable. How interested was he in coming back quickly? We know that the Matt Nagy stuff's going on. What's your worry level right now on Malik Neighbors going into the season with this knee problem first and foremost?
So I want to preface this by saying I'm not a world-class athlete. That shouldn't be a shock. So when I see some dude slow trotting in a softball game and I'm like, oh, that looks scary, maybe I should temper my expectations. He knows how to rehab, or at least I hope he does, or at least he's got a doctor that's helping him rehab. My worry meter on Malik Neighbors may not even have nearly as much to do with his knee as it does Matt Nagy. I don't trust that offensive coordinator for anything. And I know Ty's hopeful that Jim Harbaugh, whichever Harbaugh it is, John Harbaugh, he just absolutely just smacks Nagy around after the first couple of weeks of just terrible offensive play. And if that's the case, then we might have a different story toward the back end of the season. And that might give Neighbors' knee just a little bit more time to heal. But honestly, everything that I've heard lately is he looks better than he did 2 weeks ago. And he looks better than he looked last week. And he looks it's like every time I hear a report, he looks a little bit better than he did just the other day. So if he's progressing along, great. That's awesome for your dynasty rosters. And he's not an old dude. He's, what are we talking about, 3 years in the league or whatever. I'm not worried about the player. But as far as 2026 goes, I would, if my shares of it, I'm probably at an 8 because I don't trust Matt Nagy. But the injury doesn't have nearly as much to do with it as in Matt Nagy.
Okay, so, Bob, I know you've always said it, right? I know you've always not been a Matt Nagy guy. I know that the injury has worried you, but not to the extent of this offense in general. So, I mean, just saying, so like more of Malik Neighbors for you, the worry meter's high for this year, but next year it goes way down.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those times where, I kind of wish I wouldn't have sold as many of them as I did, but then B, like, it might be a time that if the season looks like trash, then I might go buy, because then people might just get the impression that John Harbaugh's not very good at hiring offensive coordinators, which seemed to be like how it was the entire time in, Baltimore. So, run first offensive coordinators. We'll go figure.
Right. All right, Logan. Hopping over here to you, Malik Neighbors. I mean, you are on the same page with Bob. I mean, the knee injury hasn't been great as far as what we're hearing about timetable. Maybe it's just kind of a mystery. But also, the fact that Matt Nagy is there in New York. What's your worry level? Is it split? Is it like more worried this year and it gets better later? Where are you at?
Well, personally, as a Malik Neighbors owner, I don't own him in anywhere that I plan on competing this year. So my worry isn't super high, but if you have him on a roster that you plan on competing this year, it would be like an 8 to a 9, because obviously the Nagy situation and his knee.
I like what you're saying, Logan. If you are contending this year and you're counting on Malik Neighbors, it's definitely not a place where I'd want to be either, right? It don't look good. It's definitely worrisome.
Yeah.
But, okay, let's go ahead and finish out with this one right here, starting with you, Logan. Makai Lemon, right, the rookie coming out, already injured in camp. Jalen Hurts, offense that, kept A.J. Brown on the mad scale for so long. What are you thinking about Makai Lemon's worry meter right now? I mean, look, rookie player coming in an offense that ain't so throw-friendly and an injury.
If I'm right, he had some injury history back in college, correct? So that does add to my worry meter a little bit. And he's in an offense that doesn't like to throw. I mean, A.J. Brown had a reason to complain because the ball wasn't in the air. Like, if it's not in the air, or if it's in the air and it's just not coming to you, that's your own problem. But if it's not in the air at all, then I think it's a team issue. It's probably sitting at a 7. I had other places I would have liked him to go, but, you deal with what you can get in the NFL. So, injuries are injuries. Hopefully he heals up and gets better by season time, but again, if I own him, I'm not in a spot I'm happy contending yet. So,
good point. Yet again, right? Just understanding where these players fit in the dynasty realm, right? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. Bob, Makai Lemon, situation's bad with the Eagles, right? The throwing offense. Injury, again, as Logan said, we've seen kind of some nicks in college as well. What's your worry meter on Makai Lemon right now heading into the start of preseason?
If I remember right, we hinted at this on the Culture Shock, TJ. When you got rookies that can't perform in camp, it's generally a big setback. It's pretty rare for a first round or a rookie that misses time in camp to have a very successful first year. All that being said, I do believe Makai Lemon was the most talented wide receiver in that class. But I also am under the belief, and I think that's been said already, that it's not going to be a high-volume passing offense. Everything I've heard is they're really going to try and get back to the run. I think they're going to try and have more design runs for Jalen Hurts, which actually boosts Jalen Hurts' value, but not the rest of the team. So, like, you guys that are banking on Smitty or whatever to be this high-volume wide receiver one, you're probably going to be upset there. I think it's going to be a very big Saquon and Hurts show or whatever, and probably Tank Bigsby, which a lot of people don't want to hear that he's a turd Bigsby. But legitimately, I just think they're going to run the ball as often as they can, especially while this offensive line is still there, because Lane Johnson wants to retire. I think I heard that Dickerson wants to retire, or they both kind of contemplated. I don't want to say wants to retire. They were contemplating retiring last year. So, this offensive line, and they lost their offensive line coach or whatever. So I think they're going to be doing everything they can to really simplify the offense, and that doesn't lead lend to a Makai Lemon like blow up, even if he was completely healthy, and he's not. So my worry meter for my Makai Lemon shares would probably be at that 8 range, especially for 2026.
So, Bob, look, I got this question with Makai Lemon. It's just sitting in my head, right? Like, he was drafted, what, a lot of ranges from like 103 to like 106 or 7, right? Probably right in there, depending on who valued him where, right? He was in that neighborhood. Right now, would you just take the random 27 first and re-roll on Makai Lemon?
Yes, I would. Yeah, and I don't think I would think twice about it. We talked about this 26 class ad nauseum, TJ. There's very few players on this team that I wouldn't take a random 26 first for or 27 first for. Like, I'm sorry, the rookie draft. Like, I just there's guys that are popping off. Okay, sure, but like I don't know if I believe in the talent more than I believe in the 27 class talent.
Okay, Logan, you feel the same way? Like, if you get a random 27 first from Makai Lemon, you're going to take it and roll, or you're going to try to hold in there and see what you got out of Lemon?
I'm going to hold into that 27 first range. Like, if I can get something out of it, especially if you have a guy on your league that seems like he's kind of flaky on if he's going to even make the playoffs, that would be the guy I would target, because then you can maybe roll that into a 27, like 101, 1-2 range. But that's where I would go. But I mean, 27 first anywhere is going to be better than the question mark of Makai Lemon this season.
Okay, so I agree with you guys. Like, just let me re-roll it, right? Like, I'll just re-roll it. You know, and it's just like taking those chances on those games, right? Like, we do the 20-0s and things like that. Like, we laughed about that. Like, just re-roll sometimes, right? Like, I'm willing to take a chance. I think I can do better. And it's not a knock. I think Lemon could be a decent, solid wide receiver, 2-ish type player if Philly figures out their quarterback situation and gets their, passing game going a little bit. But the injuries, where he's sitting at right now, I feel like that, later on, maybe you could even get him cheaper, right? Like, I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, you always could buy later cheaper potentially. It's just like, one of those deals where you get stuff for Christmas whenever it's like Valentine's Day, right? It's like closeout sales. Right, you get that stuff and you could buy it cheap. That's kind of how I feel about Makai Lemon. But, this one just crossed my mind. I have to bring it up for our good friend Teixeira. This is going to end the show, Bob. But Isaiah Pacheco, but in the substance of Isaiah Pacheco is a guy that we know has always been banged up, right? So let's just not say just Isaiah Pacheco's worry level. What's your worry level for Jahmyr Gibbs if Isaiah Pacheco pulls the injury bug situation like he did with the Chiefs? Because there is no really running back depth behind him, right? So, like, what's your worry level, I guess, on Pacheco as a handcuff, and what's your worry level for Gibbs if he can't stay healthy as far as getting all these touches?
I'm really trying to think if I seen Detroit ever go with the empty backfield. But I tell you what I would do is Gibbs will be playing in the slot to get a break from running back. That just is what it is there. The concern with Gibbs is going to just be when he gets hit. The guy's incredibly elusive, right? I mean, as long as it's a design run, I'm sorry, obviously it's going to be a design run, but like if it's wide open running. In all honesty, I heard that their center got hurt today. He's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. That's not very good. And that's a new center that they just got, which is bad news. But I think that he needs some spell, but it also just depends on. I think. I don't know. I don't want to see him get like 400 touches. I don't want to see him get Saquon Barkley load, but I also I'm going to be like 6. Let's just say I'm 6 on Gibbs because if he doesn't get it, if his backup's hurt, right? And then Pacheco, like if he can't, for whatever, he can't stay healthy. I'm glad that there's, I've had people offer me Pacheco in so many places. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm okay. I think I'll just roll the old proverbial dice someplace else. It's nice that Montgomery got all that workload, but Pacheco is not Montgomery. So I would rather just go buy Montgomery from somebody instead of have Pacheco.
Right. So let me just use this as a spin-off opportunity too. If a Gibbs owner comes knocking on your door and you have Pacheco rostered, right, would you take just the random 27th third, just get him off my roster? I want that pick.
No, because then I've kicked myself in the groin in case Gibbs gets hurt. Right? If Gibbs gets hurt before Pacheco gets hurt, then I could sell that dude for a first and just be like, oh, come on, it's just the proverbial insurance back stuff. I might sell him for a second and just roll the dice. You know what I mean? Or Jalen McMillan in a third, something like that. But that type of deal, I don't like giving things away. Like if there's players that I will just never have, and of course I'll sell those guys for a third. But the guys that may be sitting on my roster or whatever, I think that especially backup running backs, man, because it's just they turn into absolute gold if the starter gets dinged up.
Right, and then you can leverage it, right? Even if you could just bump it into for sure second, right? Like then you got that. So that's a good strategy on your part, Bob. All right, Logan, closing it out here. Isaiah Pacheco, Jahmyr Gibbs. Just go ahead and tell me your worry level for Pacheco as a handcuff, potentially a guy that you have on your bench, that could maybe get you a few points here and there. And then tell me the worry level for Gibbs if he is hurt like he always is and he goes down now, just because he might have to touch the ball 9 zillion times.
Yeah, worry level on Pacheco directly is kind of chilling at a 7. I have Pacheco in some leagues because of him being the starter when he was in Kansas City, and he knows how to run a football. I won't act like his talent and ability isn't there, but he's got the injury bug like you guys have been talking about. It's hard, especially in the running back scene, and I think I just looked, and he was 27? He's a little bit on the higher end for a running back, all things considered. But I'm not trusting him to save my life in a playoff situation. So, but, it's a 7 for sure on my end. But for Gibbs, it is more on the 9 to 10 range because Gibbs has been he's a solid running back and a good running back. But part of his ability is him being able to get off the field and breathe.
Right.
Like, he's not going all 4 downs for a full drive because I know how Dan Campbell runs his teams. He's probably looking at 20, 30 plays a drive. If Gibbs is having to be out there 20 to 30 plays a drive, and if their defense is kind of lights out like it kind of can be, he's going to be on the field out of a 60-minute game probably pushing 45, 50 minutes. And that's not good on his legs or his body. So it's a high 10 for me for Gibbs if Pacheco goes down.
Right. And look, I think that what we all kind of liked when Pacheco landed there was he fits the Dan Campbell mold of toughness and he's a dude's dude, right? He'll slam it up in there. And I think that kind of fit from that perception was good. But, you really look at this, right? Teixeira has really opened this up about the Lions, with these injuries and the lack of depth. We all kind of looking at it through rose-colored glasses because, you look at it now, you are betting everything that he stays healthy to give Gibbs that breather, right? If he goes down, you don't have David Montgomery to save you anymore. And, you could absolutely ruin a high-end talent like Jahmyr Gibbs with a terrible injury, right? He could maybe never, ever be the same. So you really are taking a chance there. Gibbs is a man's man. For his size, that guy can really slam it up in there. For his size, he's one of the better in-between the tackle backs I've ever seen. Then you add the speed and the high-end ability to break plays wide open is unbelievable. But, man, I just think the Lions are being foolhardy here a little bit, right? I get that, okay, maybe it was time to let Montgomery go. But, boy, oh, boy, this is definitely taking a chance putting all your eggs in the Isaiah Pacheco basket. Because here we go. We see an MCL sprain here in training camp already. And, man, I just hope for Gibbs' sake he can stay healthy, right? Because I do think that Logan's right. I think that he needs to breathe a little bit. I think he goes 110% all the time. That's Jahmyr Gibbs. And whenever you got a guy like that, you got to try to, it's a wild stallion. Sometimes you got to tame him, and calm him down a little bit. So I agree with that statement. So very interesting stuff. And guys, let me tell you, a great show as always here with Logan and Bob for the Dynasty DNA Deep Dive. As I mentioned at the start of the show, guys, a lot of great new stuff coming here during the Dynasty DNA season. We'll be telling you guys about that more. The big Dynasty DNA kickoff show will be taking place here very soon. Having all the members, right? It's a 2-hour special where we're going to be doing all kinds of stuff covering the 2026 seasons, hot takes, player flag plants, all that stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys are enjoying the content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon, any of the big podcasting platforms and you haven't yet, please follow and 5-star the show. It greatly helps. We so appreciate that. You guys, the listeners, you guys are the best, the DNA Strand crew. I say it all the time. If you want to check out Dynasty DNA on YouTube, subscribe to Dynasty DNA on YouTube. Follow Dynasty DNA on TikTok, Facebook, and follow us on X at Dynasty DNA_. Listen, I know I speak for Big Culture, Bob, Logan, and everybody here at the Dynasty DNA Network when we say, hope you guys have a great weekend ahead of you. We'll see you all on the next episode of the Dynasty DNA Deep Dive.